Hey there! Welcome to the podcast that's all about thinking outside the box, flipping the script, and challenging the norms of society. If you're tired of hearing the same old takes on life, relationships, and the world we live in, you're in the right place. Here we question everything. Why are things the way they are? What why do we blindly follow the rules society has set for us? And most importantly, what happens when we dare to do things differently? Now, fair warning, this isn't your typical button up podcast. I'm not sitting here with a checklist of what's socially acceptable to say or do. In fact, I like to think of this more of a conversation than a lecture. You might hear me pour another glass before we're done. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive in today's topic. Boundaries, right? Specifically, how we've let boundaries, some something originally meant to protect us, turn into walls that isolate us. And not just our personal lives, but in professional spaces too. Why are we so afraid to connect? Why do we put up these barriers and call it self care or professionalism? And what would happen if we soften those lines? If we let the fence have a gate? Today we're continuing our exploration of these boundaries, but with a twist. We're not just talking about personal relationships this time. We're diving into the professional world, where boundaries are often the most rigid. So think about it. Doctors, therapists, teachers, even mentors, coaches, they all operate within strict boundaries that are supposed to protect both them and the people they serve. Don't get me wrong, though these boundaries exist for a reason, right? They prevent harm, preserve ethical standards, and create clear expectation. But here's the question I keep coming back to. What happens when those boundaries become so black and white that they strip away the humanity from these relationships? When professionals put themselves on pedestals, untouchable, unrelatable, they miss out on the richness of truly walking alongside someone. Why can't there be a little more gray area, a little more nuance, even in the professional world? So let's start by redefining what a professional boundary could look like. Right now, it's treated like a fortress, a wall separating the professional from the client, or the patient, or the student. There's this idea that professionals have to stay emotionally detached to do their job well. But is that really true? Or is it just a fear of vulnerability and connection disguised as professionalism? I know this is a touchy subject. The professional world is built on these boundaries, and changing them feels risky. But let me tell you a story. I once spoke to a therapist who said the most transformative moments in her career came when she allowed herself to be human with her clients. I'm not talking about oversharing her personal life or breaking ethical guidelines. I'm talking about small, authentic moments of connection. A shared laugh, a comforting hand on the shoulder, or admitting she didn't have all the answers. These moments didn't break trust, they built it. And yet, the culture of many professionals discourage this. We're told that getting too close, too professional, or too friendly with people we work with will somehow compromise the relationship. But what if the opposite's true? What if stepping off the pedestal stool and meeting people where they are on a human level actually deepens the work we're able to do? Here's the thing. When professionals set rigid boundaries, they risk creating distance and hierarchy. It's like saying, hey, I'm the expert, and you're the one in need. But what if we flip that script? What if professionals approach relationships as equals? Two people on different parts of the same journey. Imagine a therapist who's willing to acknowledge their own humanity, not to make it about them, but to show their clients that they're not alone in their struggles. Imagine a teacher who sees their students not as blank slates to be filled, but as collaborators in learning. Imagine a doctor who isn't afraid to admit when they don't have all the answers, creating a partnership in health rather than a directive. This doesn't mean erasing boundaries altogether. It means building fences with gates. Boundaries that protect but also allow for meaningful, authentic connection. It also recognizes that the best relationships, even in professional settings, are built on mutual respect and shared vulnerability. So now I know that what some of you might be thinking, but aren't boundaries there to keep things professional and safe? Absolutely. There are clear ethical guidelines that should never be crossed. But here's where we go wrong. We treat these guidelines like absolutes instead of starting points. Take the idea that a professional should never befriend a client. Why not? Why can't a therapist and a former client years later form a friendship? Why can't a mentor become a peer? Are we really so afraid of connection that we draw these black and white lines that shut the door forever? Imagine how much richer life could be if professionals allowed themselves to step into the gray areas, if they saw themselves not just as service providers, but as humans walking alongside other humans. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we all are? Just humans? I know professionals who have missed out on incredible friendships because of these rigid boundaries. They kept people at arm's length in the name of professionalism. And now they regret not letting the gate swing open, even just a little. So how do we balance this? How do we honor the purpose of boundaries without letting them become barriers to connection? First, my thought is professionals need to challenge the idea that vulnerability undermines authority. It doesn't. In fact, it often enhances it. When a therapist, teacher, mentor shows just a sliver of their humanity, it could create a profound sense of trust and safety. Second, we need to redefine professionalism. Professionalism isn't about being untouchable. It's about being relatable, ethical, and compassionate. Those qualities don't disappear when we allow for connection. They thrive. And finally, we need to be open to exceptions. Not every relationship will extend beyond the professional setting, and that's okay. But when the opportunity arises, when the gate opens naturally, why not step through? Why not see where the relationship could lead? After all, life isn't black and white. It's a mosaic of experiences, relationships, and connections that shape who we are. So here's my challenge to all of us, especially those in professional roles. Let's stop putting ourselves on pedestals. Let's stop hiding behind rigid boundaries and start embracing the messy, beautiful reality of connection. What would happen if you redefined your boundaries? If you replaced the walls with fences and locks with gates? Maybe, just maybe, you'd find that the relationships you've been keeping at a distance are the ones that could change your life and theirs for the better. Connection doesn't compromise professionalism. It enhances it. And the world needs more of that right now. Hey, thank you for being here today and for listening with an open mind. If this resonated with you, share it with a friend, a colleague, your therapist, right? Anyone who might benefit from rethinking boundaries. Let's start a movement, one where compassion and connection take the lead. So until next time, connection is the heart of humanity, and it starts with an open gate. Have a great night.